Hi, so I haven't been writing and reading much right now or at all. I mean, I have been reading. I lied. I just read an entire book this morning because my audiobook was about to expire. So I have been reading. I have the books that I'm currently reading as well. Let's go through them quickly. The Art Thief. I'm still reading this one. So I didn't talk about this one last vlog. This time I made sure to check. I didn't talk about this. I just started this. I will talk about it in the next clip. Right now, I'm just going to show you that I'm reading this. I read 80 pages in a day. It's like really short. I know I could finish it. I just have so many other things that are more important right now. My audiobook loan for this book just came in and I've been waiting for it for 3-4 months, so there's no way I'm not going to read this. And I had already started this back in March. I had read 5 chapters, like 100 pages, so I have about 200 something pages left, so I have to listen to this on audiobook in the next week. And as always, you guys are probably sick and tired of seeing these books because I am sick and tired of showing them in Montmartre and French Riviera. If I read 2 chapters of this and 1 chapter of this book every single day, the problem is sometimes I skip a day, I will be done in like a week's time. Like, this is just a lot of info, a lot of names, a lot of hard topics as well, and they're both around like 300 pages, you know, and it's just like straight history, art history, war history, fashion history. So it's pretty hard, but you know, I am dedicated to the research for the French Riviera. I also got new books set for the French Riviera with the new plot line that I have for my book that I have not spoiled yet. But when I'm going to show you these 3 books, you're going to know what they're about. And I'm probably going to film a separate vlog just talking about those 3 books because it's the same subject. I know I'm creating suspense, but I want to create suspense because I want to, I don't know, present something fun in the end. And I also want to start the Goldfinch, but I'm gonna hold off until I'm like working through the other books first. And this morning I read the book It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, sorry, I'm just grabbing it because I read It Ends With Us last week because my audiobook loans came in. So I read these 2 books. I told myself this year I'm gonna write physical reviews so I don't forget. I used to do this in the past and then I would just like write my reviews on Goodreads or on my Tumblr blog, but since I've been moving my reviews to my website, I have 2 websites, but Sandra's Shelf is the one that has like the self-help content, the writing content, and the book review content now, as of now. And Sandra Mixa is just gonna be like me as a creator, so you can like shop things. It's not gonna be really content based. So yeah, now I'm currently writing the reviews for Book Lover and One Last Stop because those are part of the summer romance vlog or summer romance books that I read, and I'm gonna be filming that and editing that for hopefully I think it's gonna come up before this video, if not right after this video. We'll see what happens. I am not that reliable. I'm organized in a way that I'm super disorganized. I think everyone has figured that one out so far. I try my best, but like if it's too rigid, I won't follow it. If it's too lenient, I also won't follow it. So I need to have like a balance of like, let's be rigid some days, let's not be rigid other days, let's be rigid in some aspects, let's not be rigid in other aspects. Plus I have ADHD, so I get just hyper focused in moments, so it depends. When I feel like in high energy, I try to use that, and when I feel like in a low energy, I try to do things that are more fun and less demanding of my brain. So that's how I roll. So I have to write these 2 reviews and then I have to film that clip. And I've actually been working on my second channel. Like, I've been slowly posting content there. And for once in a very long time, I posted a video that kind of is going, not viral, but like more viral than most of my videos. And I gained like 50 subscribers overnight, which is great. Terrifying, but great. And hopefully that's going to be my reality for both channels. But we'll see, and I'll update you sometime soon, hopefully. Okay, bye. I keep forgetting how I used to be such a night owl, and this was the norm for me, staying up at night. And I know it's bad for you, so I've stopped doing that, and I have to fix and maintain my sleep, or else I get like heavily, you know, and depressed and stuff. So I never stay up purposely, or like, I don't know. I basically, essentially, I don't recommend this because this is horrible. But it happens, life happens. So this week I didn't do much of the reading and research that I wanted to do. And I also kind of messed up my sleep the last 2-3 nights. I've been sleeping at 2 and then waking up anyways early at like 8 instead of 7. So I haven't really been sleeping much. This morning I slept in, so I woke up at like 10, but still like I'm sleep deprived. But now I feel awake, and I've had like 1.5 Red Bulls. That's so bad. But I used to have an ex that would drink like 4 of these a day, so I think that I'm okay compared to that person. But at the same time, like, I'm just praying that nothing bad is gonna happen. And definitely don't encourage drinking this. I drink Red Bulls like maybe once every 6 months, and now I drink like 1.5. Don't recommend it. But yeah, so I'm awake now. I'm gonna finish The Art Thief, and then I'm gonna start reading Hitler's Art Thief. I have 4 Art Thief book, but the goal is to finish these 2 tonight. It's midnight, and or like at least like get like further along the way, so that when I start writing Riviera, hopefully after this weekend, then I can like actually write it. I just feel so behind, and I told everyone that I'd publish before the end of summer, so I really want to keep that goal. But that means like probably gonna have to slow down with videos and TikToks and other stuff, and just concentrate on writing this book and publishing it and the research essentially. So yeah, let's start reading. I'll probably like give some updates. It's so dark. You can hear like the sounds of the animal and creatures out here, because I live in the north of Canada, well, like the north of the province that I live in. And yeah, I'm like afraid of like animal visitors. Like, I'm not afraid of animals, but sometimes they're wild, so sometimes they actually come on our deck. But it's okay, we'll see when that happens, you know. Animals normally don't attack me, and I normally don't fear them, so usually I'm like good. Just read this book, and absolutely no, sorry. Tired. It's only 1 o'clock. I just read the first chapter. No, I just read the first prologue. I just read the prologue, and it sounds like this is gonna be absolutely bananas. I just don't like that the font is so tiny, and like my eyes like burn. But I'll come back. I'm such a disappointment. I went half an hour on my phone, on TikTok obviously, and now I'm having a cigarette. At least I'm drinking green tea, I guess. Honestly, I'm rethinking this idea of staying up. I might just like read another chapter. I'm almost on chapter 2, and then try to sleep. If not, I'll probably vlog from my bed. But so far, super fascinating. And basically it's the story of Hitler's Art Thief, right? And it's about Hildebrand Gurlitt, but no one knew the story up until like I think 10 years ago, when it got discovered that he was harboring all these art pieces and passed it down to his family members that had to keep it quiet for like decades. So I'm not there at that point of understanding what happened. Right now we're like at the 1907, so that's like before the first war, the Great War. And yeah, apparently I like this one sentence because this is something I think about often, and it's how childhood neglect really impacts individuals. And it's not an excuse to be terrible or act terrible, but let's be honest that when children are neglected, it can go usually it goes one or two ways. Either they hate themselves, or either they hate the world, or they numb themselves in some way. So what does it say here? Where was it? Oh, I guess I was already on chapter 2. It says here, though not unusual for any adolescent boy or girl, in Hildebrand's case they stem from a sense of neglect at this crucial time in his life. And they're talking about, what are they talking about? Yeah, anyways, it's all about neglect, right? And I'll come back, update, and give my thoughts and opinion. I'm just on page 20. There's 300 pages or something. Yeah, 320 pages. So I barely made a dent. But I can tell already that I'm gonna like this book. And I find it interesting because in the epilogue, the the author is explaining how she wanted to go into art history, but her father burned her portfolio, and somehow she still ended up in the art world, and she still years later ended up swapped in this story. And so fascinating. Two things I think about a lot actually is already being discussed: what it's like to really love something, and what it's like to deal with morality in this world. Because I don't know, it's actually really hard to wrap your head around certain things, like the World War One and Two. I as much as I read about it and hear about it, and as much as I'm a empathetic person, it's so difficult for me to understand why we start wars. And yet in a fictional setting, I feel like we can really reduce emotions and viewpoints and choose a side and make one side the hero and the other side the villain. But I feel like everything is so much more complicated, and the human condition is so much more nuanced and complicated than we ever think of. And I think that's why I like writing, because a lot of writers, let's say there's not really one standpoint. A lot of people do make that distinction of nothing is ever truly good and nothing is ever truly bad. No one is ever truly right and no one is ever truly wrong. To a certain extent, obviously, I'm again nuance and missing. What am I saying? 2 a.m. got me okay, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna fucking shut up. Okay, bye. Oh my god. I will literally no longer take walks to the dollar store, because I went to the dollar store to get my Diet Pepsi, not Diet Coke. I love Diet Pepsi. And I ended up walking out, coming back home with this. Okay, but to be fair, in the dollar store, I don't know, lately they've been having bomb ass notebooks. So I found this sketchbook. Look at it. It's so nice, and white paper, no lines. So effortless, floppy, so beautiful. Really was happy to see this. And then I found this one. It was the last one that didn't have any damages, and again, just so floppy. And honestly, the dollar store is not the dollar store anymore. This was $3 and this was $4, whatever. And then I got this. But now I regret buying these because, I mean, I'm gonna say this, but meanwhile I do drink Diet Pepsi, but I'm trying to reduce. I think I'm gonna get it down to 1 Diet Pepsi a month, which is gonna be my way to like appreciate myself. But I can't keep doing Diet Pepsi every day, and I can't be doing Diet Pepsi every week. I have to break the addiction again, unfortunately. But this has aspartame as well, carbs, no sugar at least. But I read online that these are not good gums, so I'm probably gonna have to buy some actual good gum online. But yeah, so if you guys are not following my second channel, I'm like on this like health, nutrition, weight loss kick, also being honest with like past of eating disorder and how I have been overcoming binge eating disorder, because that's what I had for like a year and a half. I don't have it anymore, but the mindset is also something that like you can get back into, so I'm very careful with what I do and how I diet. So the books that I found at the thrift store, because there's this thrift store right next to a dollar store. It's not Value Village, it's literally called Thrift Shop or something, thrift store. And I know they have good books, but I didn't know they had really good prices as well. Like a paperback is $1.99 and I think a hardback is $3.99, which is not that bad. But yeah, it's much better than Value Village. So I went in just to check and I found like really great books, so I had to get them. So the total value of these 4 books together was again $10. So I spent $20 on my walk. That's why I'm never gonna walk to a place like that again. I'm never gonna go to a dollar store on my walk, because it's like you're rewarding yourself for going on a walk. I think it was better when I did my nature walks, because yeah. Anyways, I got Graham Greene's book, The Human Factor. I got a book by Margaret Atwood that I never heard of, and it's called Payback, Death and the Shadow Side of Wealth. I'm not sure. It is nonfiction. Atwood proposes that debt is like air, something we take for granted until the things go wrong, and then while grasping for bread, we become very interested in it. Payback is not a book about practical debt management or what the? Why am I not speaking? Well, high finance, although Payback is not a book about practical debt management or let's be so for real right now. Oh my god, I'm having a day. Okay. Payback is not a book about practical debt management or high finance, although it does touch upon these top subjects. Rather, it is an investigation into the idea of death as an ancient and central motive in religion, literature, and the structure of human societies. Okay, so it's like, it's still very much a Margaret Atwood book. And then I got this book. This is the most exciting. When I saw this, I literally jumped. I squealed. I got Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. And this book has been raved about, and all of my favorite like low-key YouTubers and Instagrammers have talked at length about this book, and I've always wanted to get it, and I never found it online for a good price. So it says here, in a remote Polish village, Janina devotes the dark winter days to studying astrology, translating the poetry of William Blake, and taking care of the summer homes of wealthy Warsaw residents. Her reputation as a crank and recluse is only amplified by her not-so-secret preference for the company of animals over humans. Then a neighbor, Bigfoot, turns up dead. Soon other bodies are discovered in increasingly strange circumstances. As suspicious mount, Janina inserts herself into the investigation, certain that she knows who done it, if only anyone would pay her mind. Sounds so good. I know a lot of people said that this is a weird book, but also a very important and transformative book, I believe. So I am so excited that I finally have a copy of this book. And then I also got Hero by Rhonda Byrne. I'm reading The Secret. I'm actually liking it. I know that a lot of people are very skeptical of like manifestation, spirituality, and whatever, but if it brings me joy, it brings me joy, and I take what I resonate with and I leave what I don't. So that's why I picked this one up as well, hoping that I will find some good gems in here as well. I know a lot of people hate this type of literature, so I won't talk anymore about this, but you guys know me, I'm the type of person to like try things out and figure things out for myself. So yeah. Anyway, we are not going to do that again, although it was fun, but I'm definitely gonna go visit that thrift store once a month, because I think like I need to stop spending money on books in general, but like browsing a thrift store like that and finding gems and good books and like new-ish books or books in really good condition for just $2 is something I can do. Especially if I'm saving money on buying Diet Coke and other miscellaneous stuff that are not so good for my health. So, okay, bye. Hi. So we have things to talk about. I wanted to give a update, close out this vlog. It's a bit all over the place, but we're gonna go through it. I'm gonna go and explain the last few weeks and what's happening now with my novel. So before we go into that, I just want to talk about the media that I've been consuming lately. So let's start with shows and movies, then concerts, then books, and then we'll do the writing update. So first of all, I watched Heartstopper season 2 when it came out. Binge watched it in one night, and it was so good. It warmed my heart. Like, I made some TikToks out of it. Like, it was just like so nice to watch. But at the same time, as what I said last year when I was reading the graphic novels and watching the first season, it's also very sad for us older adults that didn't get that experience in high school, didn't get that group of friends that are queer and accepting, and didn't get that support. And you know, obviously in Heartstopper they also, Nick and Charlie, go through things, but back then, like I don't know, it feels like the two teachers, like what they were discussing and how they saw it, like that is the representation of us watching it now. And yeah, I don't know, it was just so full circle, so wholesome, and I just really can't wait for the next few seasons. And I can't wait for, I think, the next volume. There's the next volume that's coming up in October or November or September, before the end of the year or either the beginning of next year. But I did pre-order it, so I can't wait to get that. And yeah, I just felt like it was beautiful. I love Nick, I love Charlie. I obviously relate to Nick a lot because I'm also bisexual actually, and I just love that. I just love him so much. And yeah, it's just I don't know what else to say. I don't want to spoil anything, but such a great show. And then I also watched The Summer I Turned Pretty season 2. Who hasn't watched that? Oh my god, it was so hard to watch. I was crying every episode. Literally, they made us cry every single episode because of the main event that happens. I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like everyone knows, but it's okay. I won't spoil it. And oh my god, Belly's choices. And like at the same time, like I give Belly grace because I just know what it's like to like become attractive after like not having anyone's attention and being conflicted and confusing lust with love, romance with companionship, friendship, you know what I mean? Like, so us Conrad girlies, we gotta stay strong until next season. But just love the cast so much. I love Jenny Han's videos and TikToks that she posts. Like, it just feels so welcoming. Honestly, to me, this is one of the best adaptations, and like to the point where it almost made me want to go for Jeremiah and Belly. But I'm still always going to be Team Conrad, and there's still always going to be, you know, this debate. But honestly, for those who have read the books and who can, you know, read behind the scenes, it's definitely Team Conrad all the way. But you know, people don't want to hear it, people don't want to see it, and I don't blame them, because in the show it feels so much more real, and like just the way that they film it and the way that they portray the emotions, which it's crazy to say that means like they're really doing a really great adaptation, and you can see that Jenny Han is involved. As for movies, I watched the Barbie movie. I did enjoy it. Like people have been saying online, it feels like feminism 101 and it doesn't feel as intersectional, but we already knew that obviously because, you know, there was Mattel involvement in there as well. But I still loved it. I didn't love it. I liked it a lot. Honestly, America Ferrera, she's amazing. I've always loved her in movies, but in this movie she really outshined. I would say she even outshined Margaret Robbie, so it just was such a beautiful thing to watch in that sense. Also loved Ryan Gosling and Emma Mackey, and I love that they put Emma Mackey and Margaret Robbie in the same movie because obviously this ongoing joke between how they look similar in the last 1-2 years online, how people were. So yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like mind-blowing, but I did like the message, and I think it's a digestible movie for the public. So for people that are just starting to think about these themes and about patriarchy and whatnot, yeah, people are very divided on this movie, and I can see why, but at the same time, like, it wasn't a big like F you like everyone is making it out to be. Like, I don't want to get into it right now. I'm probably going to talk more about it in the second movie wrap up of the year because you guys know I love talking about movies. I love movies. So I just wanted to briefly mention that I did go see it on not opening day, but the next day on the Saturday, I believe. I wanted to see Oppenheimer, but it was just too much movie at once. So I'm actually going to be watching Oppenheimer today as I'm filming this. And today we're Sunday, August 27th. And today is actually National Cinema Day. So the tickets in the movie theater are $4. So we're all going to watch Oppenheimer finally. It's the 3-hour movie, but we are dedicated. So yeah, for movies, I also watched Love Again. That's the movie with Priyanka Chopra and Celine Dion. And spoiler alert, I loved it. I really liked that movie. It was a really good romantic, comedy, sad, lovey-dovey music movie. So I'm going to talk more about it at some point. And for movies, I think that's about it. Actually, let me go look at my movie list. I feel like I've been watching and reading more stuff this month versus other months. Yeah, that's it for movies. Then let's talk about concerts. I went to one concert and I'm about to go to another concert. I'm about to go to the Cigarettes After Sex concert. I can't wait after listening to them for 8 years when they were just starting out, when they weren't famous and popular yet. So I'm just really happy that I'm going to get to see them. But last weekend I went to see The National live in concert, and The National is again another band that I've been listening to avidly for the last 7 to 8 years. They were amazing live, and they actually perform at the Budweiser stage in Toronto, so they were performing right next to the CNE, so we got to see the lights and stuff of the CNE. I'll probably try to fit one video here. But yeah, it was a beautiful concert. And before The National played on, Patti Smith performed. Could you believe that? I got to witness the Patti Smith, 76-year-old Patti Smith. I feel so cool right now. Like, I feel like I'm still on the high from that. And I can't believe, like, it was announced, I think, 2 or 3 days before the concert that Patti Smith would be there. So I think that's why the venue got even more packed at some point. But yeah, it was an outdoor concert, so me and my friend, we were sitting on the lawn. It was just such an amazing concert. Really can't believe that I got to see The National and Patti Smith. It's amazing. I got to see her perform one of my favorite songs from her, which is Dancing Barefoot. And for The National, I got to hear some of my favorite songs from my favorite album of all time. They played I Need My Girl, they played Graceless, and I was just losing my mind. And on the way to that concert, I could only bring a little small bag, and as you guys know, I don't live in Toronto. I live like an hour out, so I was commuting for 2.5 hours. So when in my little small bag, I could only fit this book because I had other stuff in my small bag, and I ended up reading this on the bus ride, obviously. It's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. I'm going to link it down below for you guys to check out. I'm not going to talk much about it because there's not much to say. I like it. It's a good refresher. And I'm probably going to talk about it on my second channel, Sandra's Shelf, link down below. I've been very active actually on my second channel. So I've been doing this weight loss journey. I've been talking about my difficulties and struggles and recovery from binge eating disorder. So if you're interested in that and the mental health, self-help, lifestyle content, and I'll be doing some vlogs there too, weight loss focused vlogs, I can redirect you down there. So that's, again, it's always linked down below for you guys to watch. But if you just like the bookish and writing content, then you can stay here for sure. So obviously I also finished this book, Travels Through the French Riviera, because I was doing the research. So, you know, I was gathering up the itinerary for my, you know, characters and stuff. But the French Riviera book ended up getting bigger than me, and I still had a lot of research, too much research to do. I didn't feel comfortable writing it, so we're gonna come back to that. Before that, I just want to finish off with the book, so I just wanted to show that I finished that book. It's like the second time I've read it. And I also finished this book that just came out last month. It was a really good book. It's The Art Thief by Michael Finkel, a true story of love, crime, and a dangerous obsession. And I actually watched the live show on Chapters Indigo with the author and one of the hosts, and he was talking about this book, about this story. Basically, this is about a real story of a real man, Stefan Breitreiser, a French man who he basically stole 300 art pieces from 200 thefts in like few European countries in a span of 10 years with the help of his then girlfriend. And the whole story is just insane. And Michael Finkel got to interview him and correspond with him and, you know, look at the case, look at the pictures, look at, you know, the robberies and all that. And it's just such an interesting story. And yeah, it's just so much to unpack. And I was reading this for French Riviera stuff. So I'm just so fascinated by art crime and art robbery now after reading this, and I ordered so many other books of that genre, and I've been trying to watch shows and movies in that genre as well. But like I said, I'm gonna put in on hold the French Riviera stuff, and this is part of it. But I highly recommend this book. It was amazing. I really like Michael Finkel's writing, so I'm going to be picking up his 2 previous books because he has a journalist background and it shows, and it's like very objective too. Like, it's not subjective, although his interest obviously is subjective, but the way he presents everything feels very objective yet respectful to everything and everyone. And I really enjoy the truthful, honest dedication and work that he puts in every one of his novels apparently. So yeah, I definitely want to read more and Michael Finkel, and I definitely want to read more art crime books and stories. And the last book that I finished reading, and I just finished reading this morning, Brain Over Binge by Katherine Hansen. I've been reading this since last year. I got like 50 pages in last year, then I stopped because I was still suffering from binge eating disorder up until this year. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing this, going through key concepts and what I really enjoyed about this book on the second channel, because it's more of a self-help kind of book and it's part of the journey that I'm going through and recording and filming about on the second channel. So if you want more in-depth thoughts, you can go and follow that again. Oh my god, I'm tired and my back hurts today. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, and it's the fact that I'm quitting my French Riviera story and I'm shelving it. 3rd summer in a row. Can you believe that? But it's mostly because the research and the story is much more expansive than I could handle right now, and I didn't have enough time at the end to write it. Like, I was wanting to publish it at the beginning of September because it's set at the beginning of September, but I still had yet to write it, edit it, research more, and just craft an entire story, because the fact is that this story is very art involved. It's very literary, it's very writer, it's very much like it has to do with like past events, and basically it's just this expansive thing that was too hard to put that pressure on myself while doing everything else. So the other thing is I realized that it's going to be too hard for me to market this book without like the drive and excitement and the time to put the marketing into it. So I want to traditionally publish it. I don't want to self-publish it anymore. So like that, I am in the hopes of writing it in the next few months and taking my time doing and finishing the research to write it, find an agent, and hopefully if it doesn't get published this summer, the next summer. And if at that point that I actually gave myself the time to write it and I feel like I could self-publish it, maybe I'll self-publish it. If not, I'm going to try to find an agent. So the goal is to write it before next summer and then see. So unfortunately I won't be able to share the story for maybe another 1-2 years, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take because of the amount of research, thought, and excitement I have to get it right, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you guys ever feel this, but there are some stories that require more time, more thought, more research, and there are other stories that I feel more light and more imaginative. This is not one of those imaginative stories. It's more like a realistic feel to the story, which makes it trickier in some regards. So I'm going to film a video about quitting your book, shelving your book. That's probably going to be one of the next videos coming up on the channel. So I'll talk more about that then. So yeah, I am sorry to disappoint. I'm really sorry to disappoint myself, honestly. It was something that at the back of my head, and I was very much ashamed because I was like, you promised yourself, you said this year was going to be the year you publish it, you write it, you finish it, but then it got bigger and bigger and the research got bigger and bigger and my stack of books got bigger and bigger. So yeah, it's going to happen, it's just not going to happen the way I initially thought and hoped for it. So hopefully that means that I'm going to give it my best shot, essentially. But have no fear, because in the last month and a half, with the crazy weather we've been having this summer in Canada, I've had this new story idea, and it's related to vampires. I don't want to go too much into depth into it, but I am really setting my schedule to write this book in September and get it self-published in October. So yeah, it's going to be a fall book. It's going to have all the fall vibes, academic vibes, enemies to lovers, and vampires, everything that's really good, that I really love writing about, and everything that feels like fall and dark and academic and writing and competition is going to be all in there. So I am really excited. And the great thing about this story is that the story is already formed in my head. It was a story that I kept daydreaming about, so there's nothing for me to figure out. I just need to do a little bit of research on something that I don't want to talk about right now because it's part of the story and I don't want to spoil it. And yeah, then I'm going to write September every day. I'm like planning to write like thousands of words a day and then edit it and self-publish it in October. So I have 2 months, and I think that's reasonable just for the fact that I'm very excited for the story. It doesn't require that much research. And yeah, I already have like the story structure, everything. I'm just going to have to do an outline in the next week and I'm good to go. I'm good to write it. And I haven't felt this excited and this ready to write a book in a very long time. So it's going to be like my pre-NaNoWriMo book, and I'm going to take you guys along for the journey. I'm going to vlog, and yeah, so that's going to come out. That one is going to come out because the story is formed, the ending is formed, all of it is formed. There's no uncertainty around it, which is what I struggle with the French Riviera. I hope wherever you are reading good books, writing good books, enjoying your life, following your dreams, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!